The Canyon Ski Resort in Red Deer, Alberta, 80 acres of skiable terrain, 20 runs, and where you will see the men and women's qualifying and finals moguls. Hello and welcome. My name is Kayla Gray. Day 4 of the Canada Games in Red Deer, Alberta. We'll get you back to the ski resort in just a moment, but a full schedule today as hockey was underway, ringette, speed skating. Let's get you some table tennis highlights, though. Connor McKay-Vanko, representing Northwest Territories, he actually taught himself by watching YouTube, facing Gordon Chow of Manitoba. Struggling to get his forehand under control, losing in straight sets. Second game now, McKay-Vanko taking on Joshua Liu, representing Saskatchewan. His backhand just catches the net, but he ran into similar problems from his first game. That's another one, losing in straight sets. The first table tennis team the Northwest Territories has sent to the games in 40 years. And just getting warmed up, straight ahead on TSN2, Moguls qualifying and finals. That coming up next.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Nova Chemicals. Nova invests heavily in communities where we live and work. Sustainability is a team effort. Thank you for letting us be a part of the team. By Shaw, the official telecommunications provider of the Canada Games. By Winmar Restoration, offering complete residential and commercial property restoration services with 24-hour emergency service and a response time that can't be beat. By Nosac Food Group, serving Central Alberta for over 36 years. And by ATB. ATB is proud of you, Alberta, and proud to support the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
Well, Team Alberta's Mackenzie Schringhammer had come off a silver medal win in the aerial competition on Sunday, despite having only tried the sport a day ago. Looking to build off her surprising results in the women's qualifiers and moguls. Let's go down to Dustin Nielsen and Kevin Kwasny.
A beautiful day at the Canyon Ski Resort just outside of Red Deer, Alberta, and we are set for women's and men's qualifying and finals here at the Moguls, and we'll get right into it with Sandrine Valancourt out of Drummondville, Quebec.
Nice big back tuck off the top air, right into her moguls. You can see that she's really driving through there. A little bit of a deviation on those legs. Reaching for the backside of those bumps. Coming into that bottom air. Big inverted truck driver. She feels happy about that run.
A good run to start qualifying for Sandrine Valancourt, who did have a second place finish on the Canada Cup Tour in 2018. Break down the air here.
Yeah, you can see that she's really driving to the apex of that jump, and then when she tucks over, she's able to see where she's going. Just like that bottom air, she reaches for those grabs. Those judges love to see big grabs.
If you're going to go for the grab, you need to have it or you're going to lose significant points, aren't you?
You got to make sure you touch that ski.
Sandrine Valancourt, our first qualifier here in the women's quarter qualifying round of the Moguls. Maya Mikkelsen out of Whistler, just 15 years old.
Coming into that top air, nice big 360. Finds her way back into her mogul line. Really great knees coming through this middle section. Aggressive through here, keeping those feet together. Big front flip off that bottom air. One of the scariest tricks to do in moguls.
Nice front flip, lots of speed coming off of that as well. On the first air, you talked about finding her way back into the line. Maybe break that down a little bit here for Maya Mikkelsen.
Yeah, you can see as she does her 360, she sees where those moguls are, has to come back a little bit into course. Your goal would be to land and head straight into those bumps. And that front flip is always a treat. Really, really fun to do.
Once again, just 15 years old, the BC native, and an excellent run here in qualifying. Now we'll look at Jessica Linton, a 17-year-old out of North Vancouver, of course here on Team BC, and there she goes.
You can see she pushed out a little more aggressive. Oh, driving that 360 right into her lane. Great knees. You can see them just going up and down, lots of great absorption. Your goal is to absorb and continually stay on that straight line. Big back cross. Finishing fast, finishing strong.
She's very happy with that, is Jessica Linton, and I noticed the speed that she had through the middle set of moguls was very impressive.
Yeah, she skied that middle set very aggressively. She drove through every mogul, reaching for the backside. Your goal when you're mogul skiing is to keep that constant pace of up and down without sliding too much back and forth. As you windshield wiper those skis, you're gonna lose some speed.
Jessica Linton very happy with her qualifying round, 72.67, the top qualifier out of the first run of qualifying. You'll see the 3 qualifiers coming out of the second round of qualifying as well. So that's a look at your final 6 for the women's moguls final, led by Jessica Linton qualifying here in the first round of qualification. Coming up next from Red Deer, men's qualifying.
Nunavut makes history at the Canada Games. We'll have those hockey highlights coming your way next.
So many beautiful people.
My name is Luke Kusugak. I'm from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut. I'm here to play hockey, and I play left wing. I went to the Arctic Winter Games, and I thought that was big, but this tournament is like 10 times bigger. Kobayasik tunga, tagbunga ilaw yunga.
Well, it is the 27th edition of the Canada Games, and actually the first edition that Nunavut has a hockey team. In fact, when they assembled, the team traveled to Ottawa for 3 days of training, and then they got to watch the Senators take on the Canes and meet the players as well. Nunavut hoping that they can continue their historic run in Red Deer, Alberta, and they were taking on Yukon. Second period, game tied up at 1. Braden Uluxi fires one from the point and gives Nunavut their first ever lead. Nunavut held a training camp with the Sens, as mentioned, and they met guys like Chris Neal and Chris Phillips before the game, and we're up 2-1. That training camp continuing to pay off here. Now tied at 2, it's Maxwell Joy through traffic. He beats the back of the net, puts Nunavut back on top, and we head to the third. All tied up at 3s in the third. Jose Cote absolutely wires this one-timer, giving Nunavut their final lead of the game. Cote would add another empty netter as Nunavut's hockey debut ends with a victory, 5-3 the final. Here's Cote on his team's debut.
It was amazing, like scoring a goal after all these missing chances. I had a breakaway, 2 open nets I missed, so like just relieved after I finally scored that one. We come into this tournament as underdogs. We haven't been here to this tournament. It's our first time. It's a big opportunity for us. And the greatest thing was winning our first game to our first Canada Winter Games appearance. We put all the work in, like we were notified in June like that we were on the team. All the boys put in the work, like all the boys don't play organized hockey, so they play home for fun, so it's very fun for us.
And Coach Martin Joy happy as well. He said, that is the best team game I've ever seen a bunch of kids from the middle of nowhere play in my entire life. Very proud of his team. All right, Hal Johnson as well as Joanne McLeod, very, very famous for Body Break. They've always been integral and have always stressed the importance of health and wellness. Now they have a daughter, Sierra Johnson, who will be taking part in the Canada Games this year in speed skating. They talk with Paul Hollingsworth about the importance of promoting activity with kids.
If you're going to attend the 2019 Canada Winter Games, why not have a visit with Joanne McLeod, Hal Johnson, Body Break, smack dab in the middle of Red Deer, Alberta. Congratulations on being a Canada Games parent. We'll get to that in a moment, but just the legacy of the work that you've done over the years, and now you're here promoting fitness and activity and celebrating this piece of Canadiana. It must be a nice moment for you.
Well, it is great. I mean, it really is a culmination of now almost 31 years of doing it, but seeing the youth getting out and being active, and that's really what Body Break's been about, is to get kids, get everyone out and active, and this is really being part of the games is a fantastic opportunity for us.
When you have a chance to come to an event like this, Joanne, you get an opportunity to meet the people who have been watching you for the past 30 plus years. Does it take you aback, the reaction you get? Because I was watching you here off camera. Everyone wants to come meet you, get your picture taken with you. They grew up watching you, and the work you've done matters so much.
It does take us off guard, because Hal and I were little beavers working away, and not until we come out and meet the people, the Canadians, that we really get a sense that they've seen Body Break, and that's the biggest compliment we could ever have, is that they've seen it.
As you look back over the past 30 plus years, and the work that you've done, the connective work you've done from coast to coast, promoting fitness and activity and telling people, helping people find ways to recreate, how do you think you should be remembered? What's the difference you think you've made when you assess the work you've done? Because everyone's excited to meet you, but at your level, it must be a different reaction from a development standpoint.
You know, you've just made me feel old. Thank you very much.
It's been a while.
My legacy? I've never been asked that question.
Three decades of contribution.
Yeah, it's, we don't think about it in those terms. We just think, we've always thought if we've helped one person get up off the couch, be active, and enjoy fitness and health, we've accomplished something. So that's what we feel like.
Is that the key for you as well? Just that if you help one person, you've helped so many?
Yeah, and I think it's really the attitude of it's keep fit and have fun. And if people remember that, they're going to enjoy their life. There's a lot of experiences that are still left to tap into, and you just don't know where it's going to take you.
Well, you don't know where life's going to take you. It took us to Red Deer, Alberta, where we get to do the interview with the people behind Body Break. Hal Johnson, Joanne McLeod, thank you so much.
And as we always say, until next time, keep fit and have fun.
Body Break.
You know we had to. All right, when we return, we head back to the Canyon Ski Resort. Men's Moguls qualifiers coming your way next.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Melcor, building the communities where people live, work, shop, and play since 1923. By Columbia, we love keeping you warm. By Santec, architects, engineers, scientists, and project managers who design with community in mind. By the Canadian Olympic Foundation, a proud national partner of the Canada Games. Supporting our athletes today builds the champions of tomorrow. And by Tech, Canada's largest diversified resource company and the exclusive medal supplier for the Canada Games.
Welcome back inside. I'm Kayla Gray. Day 4 of the Canada Games. Men's Moguls qualifying is going to be taking place at the Canyon Ski Resort, where we find our Dustin Nielsen and Kevin Cosme.
Welcome back to Canyon Ski Resort, just outside of Red Deer, the 2019 Canada Winter Games, and women's qualifying now behind us. Time to turn our focus to the men. And up first, Marc-Antoine Betty, a 20-year-old out of Quebec City, and he's going to lead the way for us.
Right into those bumps. You can see his body position right off the get-go, right into the back full. So a backflip with a full spin, so a 360. Aggressively skiing that middle section, really driving his way through. D-spin 720 on the bottom with a big cross. Fast run for our first competitor.
Marc-Antoine Betty, who also had an 11th place finish at the NORAM Park City Duel in 2018, and he's off to a good start here in qualifying at the Canada Games.
This top air is one that the judges love to see. You can see how tall and straight he comes around, spots his landing, and that backflip with a full rotation. Aggressive middle section. It's awesome to see how fast these guys are coming down. Slight deviation, but really cleans it up and goes far on his D-spin 720.
A nice start for Marc-Antoine Betty.
Another really cool view of that off-axis 720. Judges love to see those big crosses. It makes them happy.
He looked pretty happy at the end. A little wobble on his second landing after the trick, but a thumbs up for everybody here at the Canyon Ski Resort. Up next, it'll be Sam Cordell, an 18-year-old out of Vancouver, and he finished first at the BC Championships in 2018. So obviously high expectations he must have for himself here at the Canada Games, and the 18-year-old is off and running.
Decides to do his cork 7 at the top with his cross, so really nice choice of trick up on the top air, aggressively skiing the bottom. Love to see those knees stuck together very quickly to that bottom air. Big backflip cross. Chose to do the backflip cross at the bottom to show those judges just how big of a cross he can do.
And Sam Cordell out of Vancouver, you mentioned chose to do that trick at the top. What was it? It was a 720 cork, is that what you mentioned?
Yeah, cork 720, so off axis 720, so his head never goes below his feet, but he is definitely not straight up and down.
Is it more difficult to try at the top as opposed to on the second air, or?
No, it's just what the judges will see the most of is the bottom air, so if you have a really, really big cross.
Now we will get a look at Braden Kuroda out of Penticton, British Columbia, an 18-year-old who had a third place finish at the Canada Cup.
Amazing D-spin 720 up top, huge cross. Holy, he is skiing this middle section quickly. Aggressive line, big backflip, goes for the mute grab, grabs a ski. That was our first men's mute grab of the event. That was really, really big.
Excellent run for Braden Kuroda out of British Columbia.
You can see that big cross on that D-spin 720. His head went below his feet, making it a D-spin, not a cork.
And then you mentioned a mute grab on the second air. First time we've seen that today.
There's that backflip going for that grab. It's part of the cross. You're going to grab right after your boot. He finishes very, very strong.
How difficult is that as far as adding to the difficulty, a quick little mute grab like that?
Adding the grab is just that step above adding the cross. It's really hard and really impressive when they add to their air sense.
Team Quebec's 20-year-old Olivier Lessard here in men's qualifying.
Back full up top, so bringing aerials into the Moguls. Yesterday they competed some aerials. Today, having those big back fulls in there. Driving, wow, is he flying down that middle section. Backflip cross, amazing air sense. Whoa, holds on. So he crossed that finish line before he fell down, so that is important for those judges. You got to make it across that line.
So even if you finish on one ski like he did, as long as you get over the line before you fall down, you're okay.
You got to make it across that red line. That back full was very tall. Awesome, awesome back full.
He had a lot of speed coming into his second air, didn't he?
He did. That's what kind of threw him off a little bit. These Quebec skiers are used to this hard and fast conditions that we're seeing here in Red Deer, so they're gonna have some of our fastest runs.
That's 20-year-old Olivier Lessard with Team Quebec here in the first round of qualifying, and he will move on. And the top 4 in the opening round of qualifying will be joined by the top 4 in the second round. That's why you see some of the higher scores for Danny Tanner and Parker Johnston as they qualify through the second round of qualifying. 8 men will advance to the Mogul finals, and that is on the way here on TSN.
Troubled Monk launches the 2019 Canada Winter Games official beer. We'll tell you more coming up. Described as clean, crisp, and really subtle. No, I am not talking about the snow in Red Deer, Alberta. I'm talking about what the words that they use to describe the Canada Games official beer. Paul Hollingsworth is just having way too much fun in Red Deer, Alberta, but he explains what it tastes like.
All right, so we're inside the Troubled Monk, joined by Charlie, who is the man behind the bar of the Troubled Monk. A great success story, a local Red Deer success story, smack dab in the middle of this beautiful town that's hosting the Canada Games. And when it comes to your beer, you have a great tie-in to the Canada Winter Games. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're the official craft beer, or the official beer of the Canada Winter Games this year. We worked with them to create the craft beer for the games. So they came to us with the idea, and we worked together to come up with a Kolsch. The Festive Ale Kolsch. It's a German-style ale. It's fermented at lager temperatures, so it's nice, clean, crisp, easy drinking, and really refreshing.
Charlie, if you're going to examine how beer is made, this is the room to visit. So explain the process to us as best you can. Explain the equipment to us.
Yeah, so this is where the magic happens. It starts with the hopper. We put grain up there. We mix it down.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's papa.
That's a little Arnie humor for you, yeah. We put grain in there, malted barley, drop it down into the mash tun, mix it with water, create a sweet tea called wort, and then we transfer that wort from this vessel over into the brew kettle, where we mix it with some hops and boil it for about an hour or so. After the beer is brewed, we transfer it into the fermenters where it ferments. So we mix it with the yeast. The yeast eats the sugar, gives off CO2 and alcohol. That process takes about 2 weeks.
And then you're ready to bottle after this?
After this, it gets transferred into bright tanks where it carbonates and clarifies, and then we'll either can it or keg it.
How is your beer being received?
People love it.
It's fantastic beer. Canada Games, better with a festival beer.
So should a Canada Games beer be branded with beer from here? Is that a perfect fit?
Absolutely. I mean, maybe several brands at the same time. You know, 2 or 3 different beers. We could have the hockey beer. We could have the curling beer. I hear curlers like to drink. Not sure about that. I personally, think this Kolsch is fantastic. Get down here, get some in ya.
You get 12 cans there, right?
I do have 12 cans.
How long do 12 cans last you?
Well, personally, I shouldn't answer this because the wife might see this broadcast, but probably one night.
This is a great place. If anyone's visiting, you guys should come down. Like, honestly, it's small, but it's just got a great humor, great atmosphere down here.
Are you old enough to be in here? But you don't drink the beer?
No. We only drink the pop.
Charlie, you were telling us that by trade you're an accountant, a chartered accountant. So how does a chartered accountant from Red Deer get into the business side of producing beer? It's an interesting story.
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and coming out of university, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do next, but I knew if I had a CA as a background, that would give me a tremendous insight and a foundation to build off of. So I've just did a couple different business ventures, and then the opportunity came up to open up a brewery with my family in Red Deer, and we took it.
And I know you're proud of the success, but you're also proud of the partnership that your brewery, the Trouble Monk, has had with the Canada Games Committee.
Absolutely. So the local Canada Games Committee deserves tremendous credit for this, because they had the leadership to work with a local brewery as opposed to going with some of the bigger national breweries out there, and support local community, support craft, and to me that's just tremendous.
Congratulations on your success. Congratulations to your town, Red Deer, on the Winter Games. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, come on. Where's mine, Paul? Hopefully you send me some soon. All right, Moguls Women's Finals just about to get underway. To get us all set up for all the action, let's go to Dustin Nielsen and Kevin Kwasny.
All right, as we get set for the men's and women's final, let's talk a little bit about the challenge that they're facing here on this hill. Kevin, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the Mogul course is pretty awesome. It's 195 meters. It's on a 25-degree slope. There's 2 jumps. There's a big middle section. These guys are going to be coming out of those top airs real quick and have to get that control and just fire down there. They're coming down in under 30 seconds. It's a very quick pace.
I was going to say that's a very quick run. We're going to start with the women's finals. There's going to be 6 competitors. Tell me a couple of names that we should be watching for.
Jessica Linton, she qualified first to come into this finals. She's going to be doing really well. Someone to watch. And then an Alberta team product, Mackenzie Schwinghammer. She's gonna be pushing for that gold medal.
6 competitors in the women's final. There will be 8 in the men's Moguls final. What about 1 or 2 names we should watch for in the men's final?
Brendan Kuroda is one of our top athletes to watch. It is going to be very exciting. And then again, another Alberta athlete that qualified first from the second run, Danny Tanner. He's out of Calgary. It'll be really fun to see the home crowds cheer for him.
Danny's younger brother was also in this competition, did not qualify for the final though. We have a gold medal on the line in men's and women's Mogul coming up here just outside of Red Deer.
Team Alberta boasting a quite impressive group of athletes to watch. We've got your women's finals coming up when we return.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Nova Chemicals, developing and manufacturing chemicals and plastic resins that make everyday life safer, healthier, and easier. By Hotels Red Deer, working as one to create a better destination experience. By IFR Workwear, family is your priority, your workwear is ours. By On the Run, proud sponsor of the Canada Winter Games. On the Run, making the most of every stop. And by Travel Alberta, wander within reach this winter.
beautiful day, and we're ready to wrap up the women's event here at the Moguls final at Canyon Ski Resort. 6 competitors with a chance to hit the podium here at the 2019 Canada Games. Here is how they will come down the hill. Cassidy Todd will be our first contestant. She will get us going, and like we said, from Cassidy Todd down to Jessica Linton, 6 competitors, 3 from BC there, a strong contingent from British Columbia, Kevin.
British Columbia has always brought out some great skiers to all the events, all levels, from club level all the way up to national, international competition. It's great to see how many of them are here. We have a couple Quebec skiers who, again, that's just synonymous with Moguls, Quebec and Moguls.
And British Columbia as well. Cassidy Todd will be the first of 6 finalists here in the women's Moguls. She's a 20-year-old from Kermoose, British Columbia. She qualified in the second run of qualification with a run of 71.64. She'll be looking to better that here in the finals. And there goes Cassidy Todd.
Pushing off, wants to start off strong, get the field ready. Big 360. Right into that first bump, a little bit of a speed check to keep herself going. Strong, knees tight together, feet tight together, driving her way through that middle section. The middle section's that longest part of the course. Gets you tired for this bottom air, big back cross, and finishes very, very fast. She is excited. That's how you want to start off a finals run.
You mentioned a big back cross at the end there, led into a lot of momentum to finish very strong. We'll get a look at both of her airs as we take another look at the run of Cassidy Todd, the 20-year-old on Team BC.
Big 360 up top, right into it. That's the hardest part of mogul skiing, is landing that air and finding that first mogul. Now she's gonna drive all the way through. These middle sections are long. The way these courses are set up is a short top section, short bottom section, and a marathon in the middle. Big back cross, that's great.
You mentioned the marathon in the middle. That's what it feels like for a lot of these athletes you were telling me earlier.
Their hearts are gonna be pumping there. They gotta be in the gym all the time to get this kind of cardio.
You mentioned as she came off the first air, a little bit of a speed check to find the moguls. Is that something that could cost her points? Or?
Yeah, you wanna be able to directly jump into that first mogul. You wanna start absorbing right away. If you're taking away some of your speed, that's gonna hit you on your score for both your air, your time, and your turns.
So trio of deductions possibly in that situation, yeah.
Everything has to have an intent and an action in moguls.
Cassidy Todd in the first run of qualifying was 69.93. She did not qualify in that first run of qualifying. In her second qualifying run, she managed to finish in the top 4 there to advance into this final of 6 women. 71.64 was her score through the second qualifying, which was enough to push her in to the final here, and she will be the pace setter for everyone to come after her. Our next skier will be out of Quebec, 74.87, so that's her best run so far.
She actually goes up from her qualifier run. That is great to see. She must be stoked to go into finals and then put down an even better run. Good for her.
All right, our second competitor, Florence Delsamay.
Come on, Flo. Her coach giving her some encouragement as she drops in. First air, big 360. On these airs, the judges are looking for tall form. They want to see you completely vertical, very squeezed together, almost gymnastics-like, and her mogul skiing is great. She's a little bit slower than our last competitor, but very good control, really nice back cross. Again, these girls are one-upping each other, coming down really, really strong.
The 17-year-old out of Quebec, Florence Delsamay, and you mentioned the back cross, the bottom air, the second air looked like it was pretty smooth as she wrapped up her run, and we'll obviously get a look at the entire thing once again, starting with the first air.
Top air, nice 360, gets her arms up, helps lift her up into the air with her pop. Then, yeah, right into those bumps, and you can see that she has some great form coming through this middle section. Her knees are together the whole time, allows her to be strong into this bottom air and really set herself up for success and lift that big back tuck. Look, great shot of those knees, just pumping up and down. Little deviation there, but in slow-mo, easy to see, hard to see when you're coming down that fast.
Has to feel pretty good about that back cross to finish, eh? It was followed up by a pretty heavy fist pump as she came across the finish line.
Yeah, it's fun to see all the excitement and emotion coming from these athletes. This is a big show, the Canada Games.
32.2 in her first qualifying run, which was not even close. Second qualifying run, though, she was 74.17, so an excellent second run to get her into this Mogul final, and she will need to better that 74.17 if she's going to take over top spot from Cassidy Todd, who had 74.87 on the first run of this women's final.
These athletes are competitors. They know what they have to do. At that top, they're having a good pep talk with their coach. Their coach tells them every part of this course. They know what they're doing off the first air, the bottom air, which way that first mogul is when they land. They are in the zone. The visualization, the training, it all comes into this for under a 30-second run. They trained all year for this.
She already had a couple of runs, this being her third run of the day. They also have a chance to kind of go down and check out the course just before they make their final run.
Yeah, everybody gets an inspection before the finals. They get to check out the course again. They get to ride the course. Great score, pushes her up into first place, 76.73. That's exciting.
76.73, so that's our second competitor to have their best run of the day here in the final. Up next, Mackenzie Swinghammer out of West Kelowna is here with Team Alberta. And she's had a lot of success in the Canadian series.
The Alberta coach up there getting them hyped up, coming into that first air. Chooses to do her back loop up top. Very nice back tuck. Driving into those moguls, reaching for the backside. You can see how calm her upper body is and how fast her knees are moving. That's moguls. Fast, fast knees. Goes over with the loop again. Truck driver. That is... She is excited. Man, this is great. Each lady has seen what has been put down before them and wants to do better.
Everybody's excited. You're excited. I'm excited. The competitors are excited. She was very fired up as she came down across the finish line there at the end, and you can tell she's still feeling what she just managed to lay down here on this Moguls track just outside of Red Deer.
Big back tuck up top, reaches the apex, starts to tuck, brings that flip over right into the bumps. A couple deviations as she's coming through here. You can see her feet split a little bit, but man, those knees are glued together.
Her second qualifying run, she did not qualify in the first round of qualifications. Her second qualifying run was a 78.94. That score, again, would be good enough to move her into top spot here at the Canada Games.
That would be a first place run right now. I think we're in for a real big treat of some pretty high scores this afternoon. Now, that loop is great. You can see that she grabbed both skis, really locked into them.
Did I hear you call that the truck driver?
It is, so it looks like she's driving that truck. She's got
both
the big
hands.
steering wheel in front of her, and you need both hands to drive that truck.
What's the degree of difficulty on that back loop with the truck driver there?
So that one increases. Every time you add a grab or a rotation, your degree of difficulty goes up. And that's what the judges are looking at. Your jump is based on a degree of difficulty.
She needs to beat 76.73 to take over top spot. Look at your current leader, Florence Delsamé, out of Quebec. She's watching on to wait for the score here of Mackenzie Swinghammer, who, as I mentioned, almost had a 79-point run in her second qualifying run today. If she can match that score again or get even higher, she will move into top spot on the podium with 3 contestants to run. And Mackenzie Swinghammer with an 80.79 has moved to the top of the list right now in the ladies moguls final.
I think the judges are pretty excited to see some grab in the air from these ladies. Those 360s are great, but adding 2 inverts is gonna put you near the top.
We get into our 3 who qualified in the first qualifying run. How about 15-year-old Maya Mickelson, skiing out of Whistler, British Columbia. Qualifying run in the first run was a 71.07. She'll need better than that here.
Big 360 again, really lifting high. A bit of a speed check coming into those bumps, but knows she's got to pick that speed up after watching those first 3 rounds, or skiers before her. Her knees are going. Reaching for those bumps into that bottom air. There's that front flip from qualifiers. Such a hard trick, such a fun trick. She is excited.
The front flip on that bottom air there kind of led into quite a bit of speed coming down the final part of the hill.
Yeah, that forward momentum is just going to pull you down. She came down in 23.56 seconds. That is a quick time.
Just 15 years old, Maya Mikkelsen. She was first place in the 2018 Junior Nationals and the BC Championship, so a young prodigy here as we get another look at her run.
Yeah, you saw that nice 360. Again, that little bit of speed check to make sure that she can get into her lane and really start giving her. Look at those knees, just up and down and glued together.
Prior to these games, first place in Junior Nationals was the highlight of her career.
Those front flips will definitely put you on the podium. When you land them, the judges will reward you.
And we'll keep an eye if it's enough to get the job done. Like I said, she did not have to run in the second qualifying run, as she managed to get through in the top 3 in the first qualifying run of the day with a 71.07. How much of an advantage is there being 18 as opposed to 15 in an event like this, if any at all?
Well, I think, you know what? 15 and 18, they're out here, they're training together, they're always pushing each other. We have a huge spread of ages at these types of competitions, and I think, you know what, whatever age you are, you're just being pushed by the people around you, and it's pretty cool to see.
Definitely will help as the experience to continue being here at the age of 15. And Mikkelsen will settle in at 75.43. That sets her in third. She's currently on the podium with 2 more skiers to go. Mackenzie Schwinghammer, though, still with the lead, and 80.79 is the number to beat. Right now, Sandrine Vaillancourt, an 18-year-old out of Drummondville, Quebec, 72.53 in her first qualifying run.
Very fast backflip off the top. A little bit of foot step going into those bottom bumps. Cruising. She knows she has to set a fast pace if she wants to be on that podium. Reaching, you can see she does the loop, big truck driver again, and skis all the way to the bottom. That's another very important point. If the athletes start shooting and just straight lining, those judges are going to take some deductions. You need to show that you are putting your ski on edge.
Really? So knees back and forth all the way down the hill.
All the way down. If they shoot, it's called from one gate to another. They're going to lose up to 2 full points of their score.
So you need to finish this run all the way through is what Kevin's trying to say.
You need to start it, and you need to turn all the way to the bottom.
Now, we'll get another look at her run, Sandrine Vaillancourt. She needs to beat 80.79 to move to top spot on the podium.
That air sense on those backflips, you can see her kick out. She knows exactly where she is in the air. Really going side to side with those moguls, going through, really reaching on those backsides of the bumps. Coming into that bottom air, the exciting loop with a truck driver.
I believe we saw Mackenzie Schwinghammer also loop truck driver, and that got her above 80.
That pushed her to the top, so our Quebec skier is looking to be joining her up there.
We'll see if Sandrine Vaillancourt can top 80.79. Like I mentioned, on her first qualifying run, she was 72.53. She did have the advantage of seeing the first 4 competitors go ahead of her here, knowing and realizing what she might need to do to get on the podium, whether it's at the top of the podium or one of the other 2 spots here as well for the 18-year-old who did have a second place finish at Canada Cup last year. That's a look at Mackenzie Schwinghammer. She is your leader at 80.79. 78-18 for Sandrine Vaillancourt would move her into a spot for a silver medal here at the Canada Games, and it leaves Mackenzie Schwinghammer on top at 80.79.
So I think we can see what the judges like. They like 2 inverts and they like a big grab.
So Jessica Linton, who's going to be our final competitor here, she knows what the judges are looking for here. You might as well go all out with a gold medal on the line.
Yeah, she's at the top. Her coach will be hyping her up, getting her excited to go. She knows what she has to do. She can put down a run like she did in qualifiers. She had 1 run break. Her legs are fresh. She should be able to push it all the way down.
Fresh legs for Jessica Linton, a 17-year-old from North Vancouver on Team BC. Waiting at the bottom of the hill is Mackenzie Schwinghammer. She is your current leader for gold.
Nice big 360, a little bit sketchy on that landing, fell a little back seat, but drove right back into those bumps. Good for her. Fighting her way through that middle section. It's a long one. Second there, oh, goes off the side of the jump a little bit, still lands on her feet. It's an amazing thing to see that air sense of these athletes. Even with a little bit of off kilter, they're able to find their feet and get down safely.
Coming down as fast as they are, the ability to regroup like Jessica Linton did there, very impressive. But if you look at what Mackenzie Swinghammer did earlier in this women's final at 80.79, I think that might be a score that holds up here for Mackenzie.
I think Mackenzie was going to hold that first place down. This run, she made it down safely. Probably not the one she wanted to put down in these finals.
We talked about how you might need a couple of inverts to get the job done here in the ladies moguls final, and we didn't see it in the top air. Here's a look at her second air.
Nice strong mogul skiing once she got herself back together. A little bit of a slip going through that transition into the bottom air. Again, safely makes it to her feet. It's nice to see all the support at the bottom of the hill for all these athletes. A lot of great cheering, a lot of former athletes from freestyle here. Everybody just loves this sport.
They're volunteering, they're here in attendance, former athletes in the moguls. Swinghammer waits in behind, and as you see her in the back with the 10 bib on, Jessica Linton waiting to hear her final score. Will it be good enough to hit the podium? She will need to top 76.73 to get a spot on the podium right now, and needs close to 81 to take a gold medal out of the hands of Mackenzie Swinghammer. Swinghammer, an Alberta product here, competing at a Canada Games in her home province. Jessica Linton is going to come up short at 69.08. She will miss the podium, but it is a Canada Games gold and an embrace from Linton there for Mackenzie Swinghammer with an 80.79, the only competitor in the finals to come over 87.9. And here's a look at a gold medal run.
All right, let's see what she puts down. Those strong knees, that big backflip up top. That's what the judges wanted. That's one of those inverts. Amazing knees all the way through that middle section. You can see her upper body just square to the bottom of the hill, following that fall line. That loop with the big truck driver, that's what set her apart. She got that grab, she locked in, and the judges noticed.
Alberta gold here at Canyon Ski Resort for Mackenzie Swinghammer with an 87.9, and she salutes the crowd here that cheered her on the way down the hill. Men's final is on the way. The ladies' final is now behind us, and once again, a golden day for Mackenzie Swinghammer in Red Deer.
All right, you saw it there, Mackenzie Swinghammer with the gold medal performance. This comes just a day after she captured silver in the aerial events. When we return, we go back to the Grand Pavilion where we will hear from BC boxer Jonathan Hanna. The Parkland Pavilion is where you can find BC's Jonathan Hanna, who's training ahead of competition. With more on the heavyweight in Red Deer, let's go to Paul Hollingsworth.
BC's Jonathan Hanna packs the heaviest of heavy punches. In the ring, it's his defining attribute.
Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be really good at something.
Hanna is better than good. He's a medal favorite in Red Deer. He came here to win, and he spent several years preparing for this moment.
He pulls something out from inside him that I haven't seen in a lot of athletes.
And just like a multi-sport athlete, Hanna has also found a niche away from boxing.
He's kind, he's compassionate, he works with kids.
He's a young man who not only pushes himself to be a good boxer, but also a good person.
Mostly because of my faith. Like, I'm a Christian, so it's like important to go and help others.
In 2016, Hannah, through his church, traveled to Mexico to help those less fortunate. When he arrived, he got busy. He went to work, helping to improve living conditions.
Just help build some new buildings and a few things for them.
He came away from the experience more aware of the suffering felt by others.
People complain about like not getting their iPad, right? And it's like, oh, the world's gonna end. But then those kids grow up maybe not eating every day, and you're just like, hey, they survive and they live and they go through life, and they're just fortunate and happy to get 3 meals a day.
Last year, Hannah went back to Mexico with his fellow boxers from Griffin's Boxing and Fitness in North Vancouver. Come on, work. And once again, he found time to help the people living in the local community.
Just helping people in general, just daily basis, being kind, helping out people, just normal acts of kindness. It's kind of just what you're called to do as a Christian.
His experiences in Mexico have changed him. They've given him perspective.
The hard work and dedication definitely is something that translates to a lot of things I do.
Hannah says he's more focused than ever and better prepared for the challenges in the ring and in life as he continues his developmental path as a boxer.
And we will have your medal rounds with boxing on Wednesday. That you can watch on TSN 3 starting at 9:30 Pacific, 6:30 Pacific rather, 9:30 Eastern Time.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Nova Chemicals. Nova invests heavily in communities where we live and work. Sustainability is a team effort. Thank you for letting us be a part of the team. By Shaw, the official telecommunications provider of the Canada Games. By Winmar Restoration, offering complete residential and commercial property restoration services with 24-hour emergency service and a response time that can't be beat. By Nosac Food Group, serving Central Alberta for over 36 years. And by ATB. ATB is proud of you, Alberta, and proud to support the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
Hi, I'm Maggie Carson from Northwest Territories, and you're watching the 2019 Canada Games on TSN.
All right, day 4 of the Canada Games continues right here on TSN. Moguls men finals. Let's get you back to the Canyon Ski Resort with Dustin Nielsen and Kevin Kwasny.
Welcome back to a picture-perfect day at Canyon Ski Resort just outside of Red Deer, 2019 Canada Winter Games, and it is a beautiful day out here. It's a little chilly, but it's a beautiful day, Kevin.
You know what? If you've been to Red Deer, you know that we do well in the chilly.
There is a look at the start list for the men's Moguls final. 6 names highlighted by Braden Kuroda, who will be the final competitor today. We will start things with JC Nadeau, who is a 21-year-old athlete out of Montreal, qualified in the second qualifying run earlier today with a score of 75.31. He will be our pace setter here in the 8-man men's Moguls final.
His coach giving him some last words of advice, getting him going into the course. Fast, he pushed off into there. Big D-spin, 1080 up top. Amazing pull right into his middle section. He is flying down this course. He wants to show everyone where he belongs. Big back cross up top. Fast time, 19.91 seconds. That is the fastest run I've seen today.
Fast time highlighted by a 1080 on the top air, which is the first one that we've seen here today with our coverage.
First 1080 I've seen today. 3 rotations while going upside down. It is a spectacular trick.
I could tell right away when you saw it, you're like, whoa, 1080 off the top air.
Look at that, all the way around, right into those moguls. That is a World Cup level trick. Our highest level athletes are doing those 1080s in the World Cups.
So how much of an overall difference, as we get another look at his run here, how much of an overall difference in the scoring could that 1080 at the top mean for him?
I think that's huge. That pushes that degree of difficulty. That is the hardest trick done at this event right now.
So JC Nadeau with a quick finish there down at the end and a fist pump as he crosses the line. possibly coming out here to set a pretty significant pace in the early going of the 8-man men's Moguls final. Our first competitor, 75-31, his score in the second qualifying run, which was significantly better than the 69-66. And one more time, let's take a look at this 1080, Kevin.
I'm excited to watch it again. Big set, nice wrap. His body was tall and straight. It's amazing to see how fast they can wrap their bodies around.
So 6 points bump up into qualifying number 2 got him into this final, and JC Nadeau, who had a 5th place finish in the NORAM Calgary in 2018, one of the highlights of his Moguls career so far, waits for his score to find out what the number to beat will be. As 7 more competitors await an opportunity here. He is the first of 3 from Quebec to get a run at the men's Moguls final in 83-13. Obviously first place for now, but 83-13, a very respectable score to start this final.
Strong score to get himself in a position. I think he knew he wanted to be at the top. Missing that first run put a fire in him, and he came out and showed everyone he deserved to be in this finals. If not, deserves to be on that podium.
That is a look at North Vancouver's Josh Mega in the 20-bib.
D-spin 720, a little bit breaking his hip as he came over the top, pushing his way through these bumps.
Nice and smooth.
Really nice. A little bit of few deviations in there. Backflip cross. Fighting, turning all the way to the bottom.
Now, do we read into his reaction? There was no fist bump. He didn't seem overly, ecstatic about his run.
That can be a telling sign. Skiing is an emotional sport. You're putting everything into 22 seconds of your life. Getting from the top of that course to the bottom of that course. He knows that he had a few breaks in there. It's probably not his happiest run right now, but you know what? You watch these airs. He put down a solid run, but watching that run before him, that's going to be hard.
Awesome optics for the athletes.
Get a look at his second air here.
95 meters at 26 degrees.
Big backflip cross, showing that cross off to the judges down here at the bottom.
Pretty good looking cross as he came through the air. Josh Mega is just 16 years old. He was the BC Moguls champ in 2018. So at the age of 16 and having an opportunity here to take part in the Canada Games final, it's a big step in his career.
Yeah, I think, you know what, at 16 years old, you still have a long career ahead of you, and it's exciting to see the level of athlete Canada is putting out.
Our next competitor
First BC champions at Mount Washington, that highlight of his 2018 run. Our leader right now, JC Nadeau from Quebec, with a score of over 83 points. He will watch on here as we wait for Josh Mega to be judged. 83-13 from JC Nadeau, 75-68 for Josh Mega, so he'll move into second place for now. 6 competitors still to go here in the men's Moguls final at Canyon Ski Resort in Red Deer. Up next, Parker Johnston, once again just 16 years old, out of Ontario.
Driving, he wanted out of that start gate as fast as he could. Big back pull up top. Fast, all the way down the course. Wow, he wants to be at the bottom very quickly. Goes a little quick, gets a little backseat off that jump. He let the speed control him.
Into home base. Sparky, all right, buddy?
He crossed that finish line. He knows he left everything he could on that course. Good for him for fighting it and making it all the way to that bottom air.
He was making a push, right? Like he was going out looking for a gold medal. There was no hesitation or holding back in the 16-year-old run that we just saw.
Yeah, no, that run, that was I want it all, I want it right now.
And it ended up backfiring in the end, but he went for it, and I think that's really important for a kid of his age.
Those transitions coming into those jumps, that big back full up top is a great trick. You can see how glued his knees are, but as he's coming down this steep run, it's 25 degrees. If you get a little out of control, it's gonna put you on your heels, and that's what happens on that backflip, is he is a little off his heels, and it puts him onto his back.
It looked about 4 moguls ahead of that second air. He kind of lost the one leg just a little bit. Couldn't get under control before he hit the jump, could he?
Yeah, those moguls come very, very quickly. So they're only about 3 meters apart. So when you're coming down in 18 seconds, he crossed that finish line in 18 seconds with that fall.
Which is crazy. That's how fast he was going on the way down. He had an excellent run in second qualifying run, 81.62 for Parker Johnson to push his way into the final. And he actually came up just short in the first qualifying run as well at 75.03. So a couple of really good scores for the 16-year-old coming in to this men's moguls final. But JC Nadeau will hang on to the top spot here with 83.13. 5 competitors still remaining.
Yeah, I think he has a strong career ahead of him. A young guy skiing that fast, skiing that strong. It's unfortunate he couldn't put it down on this event, but he's got a few results in there that have helped him on this course. Actually, last year at the test event, he placed first.
So he knows he can have success here at this course, which may make it even a little bit more frustrating for him to have, especially after 2 good runs earlier in the day, to have that one end the way it did and end up with a 47.12 for Parker Johnston, the 16-year-old. He'll sit in third for now, but that's not likely to hold up. Our next competitor will be Danny Tanner out of Alberta, skis out of Calgary, 20-year-old who has taken part in both senior nationals and the World Juniors. Younger brother was also in this event, a 17-year-old who did not qualify. Here's big brother Daniel Tanner.
Big back cross up top, right into those moguls. Knees glued together, straight down that fall line. You can just see how fast those knees have to move. D-spin 720 cross. Fast turns all the way across. Good solid run for Danny Tanner.
I was gonna say relatively pleased with that run. I think he was. Started with a big trick up top with the first air. Tanner, 70.09 in his first qualifying run meant that he had to do it again. And on the second qualifying run, an excellent score of 82.11, which would move him on to the podium here in the men's mogul final.
Fast run, big back cross. You got to get that cross big when you're up top so those judges can see it. 20 seconds down that course. You can see it right here. He is hopping from mogul to mogul, so quick, so controlled, knows where he needs to be, comes into this bottom air, sets his D-spin 720. Big cross again, showing it off. Right into those moguls and zips his way to the bottom.
Both of his airs, the landing on both those airs, you mentioned it, right into the moguls. Like there was no reset needed. He just kind of hit the ground running right away.
Yeah, and that's what the judges are looking for. It's a ski-related move right after the landing. They want to be driving into that first bump, which is the hardest part of mogul skiing, is landing that jump and connecting it to those moguls.
Because depending on the jump you do, you'll lose sight of the course just for even the smallest of moments, which means you got to pick that up and reset pretty quick.
Yeah, once you go up into that air, you're going to be spotting out where you're trying to get to, making sure that you have the air sense. You got to trust and believe that you're going to get there, and then you're going to fire into those moguls.
Our first skier of the men's moguls final is still our leader, and he will remain our leader as Danny Tanner comes in with an 81.80, which is just behind the 83.13 of JC Nadeau. So Daniel Tanner will slide into the position of silver here in the Canada Games, and we are halfway home through the men's moguls final with 4 competitors remaining. They are our first 4 qualifiers of the day from the first qualifying run, so they have not skied since this morning, and it'll be 20-year-old Olivier Lassard out of Quebec, the first of the final 4 here. 75.14 was his score in the qualifying run, and he will need better than that by a significant margin to take a gold medal away from Jean-Christophe Nadeau.
You can see him out there. He visualized his top air. He visualized his bottom air. He's seen this course in his mind. big back pull up top, really stretched out, really strong and straight. Very quick middle section. Coming through. I just heard the announcer say attacking the middle section. I love it. He did attack it. Big back cross. Very happy with that run. Good, strong run. Quebec putting up another strong competitor.
The time under 20 seconds, 1994, and he came down there very quickly. And you mentioned, as the in-house announcers here, how aggressive he was in the middle part of this course on the way down. But once again, I wonder if that 1080 from Nadeau is just such a difference maker. Do you need to get close to that if you're going to take the gold medal away from him?
I think you do. I think on this course, our competitors are coming down it very quickly. We have a lot of 19-second runs. I think the difference maker will be those airs. All these guys are putting down some amazing turns. Their knees are all just locked. You can see that they wear patches on their knees, and that's to show the judges that their knees are always together.
I always thought it was just for style. That's an excellent point, Kevin.
Yeah, those knee patches are the visual markers that the judges use to make sure that there's no break in them.
There's no break there, as Olivier Lessard, on his second run of the day, he did not need to qualify in that second run. He got through the qualifying run, a shot there with his provincial team member, J.C. Nadeau, as Quebec tries to make it 2 for 2 on the podium so far, with 3 skiers remaining in the men's Moguls final.
You can see him waving to his coach up top. There's a lot of nonverbal communication on these courses. You get thumbs up, you get fist pumps, you get some big cheers.
It's really the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's a long course, and you don't want to tell your coach that you had a good time.
From this morning's competition, our skill at the top.
83.76, Olivier Lessard is your new leader. So he did not need the 1080 to take over top spot. He will now hold down gold. J.C. Nadeau moving down to silver. So Quebec 1 and 2 right now, with the third Quebec competitor just about to take off.
You know, Quebec, synonymous with Moguls. They have brought us some of the best Mogul skiers in the world.
Our third competitor from Quebec, out of Quebec City, Marc-Antoine Bataille. 77.93 in his qualifying run. 77 again would not be enough to put him on the podium. He'll need to beat 81.80 of Danny Tanner to join his teammates on the podium. 3 skiers remaining. Marc-Antoine Bataille taking off on his run.
So he's on course. Big back full up top, like his Quebec ski team. Fast through that middle section, a little bit of a deviation, but driving his way down that course. Big cork 7 at the bottom, deep landing, and crosses that finish line strong. So back to that 1080.
Yeah.
The scores are 60% based off your turns, 20% based off of your airs, and 20% based off your speed. So the judges on those turns get the most say. That 1080, it's amazing. It is the difference maker if your skiing's the same. The judges saw those couple of runs. They said those turns are a little bit better. That back full, very tall, very straight. That's what the judges look for. Spots his landing, finds that line, does get a little bit going there. You can see that a few of those Moguls pushed him a little bit backseat, but he found his way back to the front of his boots and has pushed his way through that middle section.
And you mentioned a cork 7 at the bottom. I think that's the first cork 7 at the bottom we've seen so far here in the men's Moguls final.
I think you are correct. I think we've seen a lot of back crosses down here.
We've got time bells all over the place just to
His
make
coach
sure that they can
is very happy.
I remember that feeling, being at the top of the course, proud of your athletes. It's such a great feeling. Just as pumped as they are at the bottom, you get just as pumped at the top.
He needs 81.80 to work his way onto the podium, 83.76 to take over top spot from fellow Quebecer Olivier Lessard. 83.76 is the score to beat. Two boys from BC still on the way here to wrap up your men's Moguls final. That'll be Sam Cordell and Braden Kuroda, who is excellent in the first run of qualifying earlier today. Marc-Antoine Bataille, 81.62, just short of the podium, which now has Olivier Lessard, JC Nadeau, and Daniel Tanner hanging on. That's got to be tough. Comes up at .16 or whatever short of finding a spot on the podium.
Yeah, you know you put down the run you wanted. Those scores come up, and that's our judge sport. It is what it is, and you live that. But man, he should be proud of that run. It was a good run.
18-year-old Sam Cordell out of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Deepman 720 up top, coming down, driving his way through. Fast knees. Let the jump get him a little bit up there. He fought his way through there. Just a little bit off on that backflip.
Just a little bit of a drift kind of on the way, like as he hit the air.
The transitions come in very, very quickly, and if your feet aren't directly below you, it's going to send you a little bit back seat.
So
you can see that flip centered a little bit quick.
One guy at the top of the course.
Cordell, he had an 82.63 in his first qualifying run. If he was able to duplicate that, it would be enough to get on the podium.
We've seen some really good runs come from the qualifiers who had to ski 2 runs today. Normally, if you get that one run off, your legs are fresh, but I think that extra run has really given them a good view of this course.
I was wondering about that, if it's an advantage or a disadvantage to have 2 looks at it already or just 1.
You know, and it's depending on the athlete. Some athletes want to keep their legs warm as long as possible, and some just, they want to make that finals and know they're there and then put down those crazy runs.
81.80 is what he would need. Well, 81.81 is what he would need to move on to the podium. That would knock off Daniel Tanner of Alberta, the first, well, the second of 3 skiers from BC, the first of 2 of BC here to wrap it up. It'll be Braden Kuroda who will have a chance at a gold medal as the final skier in men's moguls.
We have a score.
Olivier Lessard, your current leader at 83.76. Sam Cordell, an 18-year-old out of Vancouver.
Jacques-Christophe is in 2nd place.
First place at the 2018 BC Championship, so already he has had some success.
We're just waiting for scores from Mr.
Also
Cordell.
had a 2nd place finish earlier this year at a Canada Cup event. 81.31, that will put him in 5th. Sam Cordell in 5th place. Olivier Lessard will be watching closely at the top of the hill as our final competitor of the day, Braden Kuroda, who had an 83.89 in qualifying, an 18-year-old from Penticton, British Columbia, and an 83.89. If he can duplicate that again, this time it'll get him a gold. We'll get one more look at our current leader, Olivier Lessard.
So we've got a score. It's 81.314.
And he will be watching on as Braden Kuroda, who we talked about in our opening of the finals here. He's a highly skilled 18-year-old.
He's up there in the gate, getting ready, visualizing his runs, warming his legs up, stretching out, having a quick chat with his coach, and then he'll be on course.
He said his goals for the game were to just have fun, but I'm sure he'll take a gold medal as well.
I think a gold medal's pretty fun. Big Cork 7 up top. Shows the cross. Look at those knees, just moving up and down, locked together. Oh, bit of deviation in there, breaking his knee. Big back cross, got the mute grab, finishes strong. He is excited.
Back cross, mute grab, that's impressive. One little bobble in the middle part of that course, but that was the only thing I saw that might hurt him.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid run. That back cross with a mute grab is a fun trick. Johnny Mosley did that back in the day, and that changed mogul skiing for all of us. It was the first time someone added that in, and from then on we've seen the Cork 7s, we've seen the mute grabs, we've seen the truck drivers. There's that D-spin 720 up top with the big cross. Right into those bumps. Great skiing.
Just 1/100th behind his teammate Sam Cordell. The British Columbia skiers very consistent.
There was a little wobble.
There's that little wobble.
Team Quebec skiers came in at a 19.9.
You know, but he regrouped immediately and kept on flying through the middle part of the course.
It's pretty amazing that athleticism these athletes have to be able to find their balance, find their core, and continue to crush through these bumps.
Level of difficulty on the mute grab on that back cross. How does that compare to some of the other ones that we've seen here today?
So a backflip with a mute grab is a good degree of difficulty. Those ones with those spins are a little bit higher.
Here's a look at his coach at the top, Josh Kober. And he's got a smile on his face. He liked the run of his 18-year-old athlete, Braden Kuroda. Will it be enough to take a gold medal away from Olivier Lessard, who currently sits in the lead at 83.76. Lessard there having a discussion, trying to remain calm, finding out if he will be at the top of the podium here in men's moguls at the Canada Winter Games. It's got to be killing Kuroda to find out what this score is.
Oh, there's nothing worse than waiting for those judges, standing there, waiting and waiting to get that score to find out what they thought of your run.
He is the final of our 8 competitors in the men's mogul, so it will all come down to this for Kuroda, who did have the highest score in qualifying at 83.89. And like we mentioned, as he came through the middle part of the course, one little deviation. Outside of that, though, a very solid run, a relatively quick run as well, under 21 seconds.
Yeah, he put it down. He knew what he had to do. He put it on the line and wanted to get to the bottom.
Do you want to hear some results?
The results will be in momentarily. 86-81, a gold medal for Braden Kuroda, and a fist pump as well. So Kuroda, with a couple of the tricks that he had on his way down the hill, even with that one little deviation, still more than enough to win a gold medal. He ended up running away with it.
That's how important those turns are. He had such strong turns all the way down that one little deviation was still okay. Look at those knees going up and down, how fast, how strong his upper body is. There's that deviation, but he is so strong that he fought his way through it. Massive backflip mute grab at the bottom and turned all the way to the bottom. He knew he did what he had to do. His coach is excited. The volunteers are excited. Everyone's excited.
And he ends up with the 2 best runs of the day. Qualifying round 1, 83.89 was the best run of the day prior to the 86-point run that he put together here in the final to take home a gold medal for British Columbia. Braden Kuroda, the 18-year-old, getting the job done here at the Canyon Ski Resort. As Braden Kuroda with the gold, Olivier Lessard out of Quebec, 83.76, a distant second, and he managed to just get by his own teammate, J.C. Nadeau, taking a bronze medal here in the men's moguls. And Braden Kuroda, there was some buzz around him coming into the event. There was some buzz around him after the qualifying run this morning, and I guess you can say he lived up to the hype here in the final.
That was great to watch.
Congratulations to Braden Kuroda. He is your gold medalist in men's moguls from the Canyon Ski Resort here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Nova Chemicals. Everyone agrees plastics do not agree with our oceans, rivers, or anywhere in the environment. Please be responsible while enjoying the games. By Finning Canada, proud partner of the Canada Winter Games and our athletes. By Driving Force, vehicle rentals, sales, and leasing, proud to be the fleet provider for Canada's Winter Games. By ATCO, proud sponsor and official energy provider of the 2019 Canada Winter Games. And by the Government of Canada, proud supporter of the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
It's minus 16, feeling though like minus 26 in Red Deer, Alberta. As we welcome you back inside the TSN studios. Of course, it's cold And for many, it's weather that you have to dress and prepare for, but unfortunately for some, they either can't afford or have access to clothing that can help them with the brisk temperatures. Paul Hollingsworth now on an initiative that Red Deer, Alberta has started to help make a difference.
We've seen it before, we are seeing it again. Every 4 years at a Canada Games, programs are announced that connect the community to the games in general. This year, the Mitts for Many program was announced in Red Deer, Alberta. It supports the Mustard Seed, a Red Deer charity that supports homeless people. The construct of Mitts for Many is pretty simple. Everybody has a chance to be involved, from the athletes to the spectators and all in between. They're encouraged to donate their mittens, put them in a box, and those mittens will go to support homeless people living in this area.
For those who can't afford warm clothing or don't have access to proper shelter, the cold is more than that. It's an excruciating experience, and sometimes it can be deadly. So the fact of the matter is that mitts don't just warm hands, they warm hearts. And this kind of gift demonstrates to people who are struggling that the people in the community in which they live do care and know that they matter.
So this is one of the greatest legacies of games that happens. We try to encourage athletes from across the country to get involved in various charities and events. This one was the Mitts for Many that was initiated by the Red Deer Committee, and it supports the Mustard Seed Group. And as you've seen this morning, thousands of mitts are being donated to help the less fortunate in our society.
Mitts for Many is not just about Red Deer and it's not just about 2019. It's a legacy piece, not a bricks and mortar legacy, but a social legacy. This sort of event will continue going forward. They'll make donations similar to this at future Canada Games, helping people who need comfort and care, especially in the brutally cold winters in Canada. Reporting from the 2019 Canada Winter Games, I'm Paul Hollingsworth.
All right, medals handed out in the Moguls finals. We'll hear from the winners coming up. And we saw it here on TSN. Braden Kuroda capturing gold for BC, while Olivier Lessard capturing silver for Quebec. And over to the women's side, building off of her silver performance on Sunday, Mackenzie Schrimhanger had won gold. Meanwhile, Florence Del Somme taking home bronze. All right, Dustin Nielsen with both gold medal medalists. Hear from him now with Mackenzie.
All right, we are in a little bit of a gold medal sandwich here with Braden Kuroda and Mackenzie Schrimhanger. And Mackenzie, let's start with you. Take us through your run and what was going through your mind when you got to the bottom of the hill.
When I got to the bottom of the hill, I had no words. I knew I had just put down one of the best runs I had done in my life, and I was so stoked.
I was going to say, how good does that feel when you know you had the high expectations and you actually nailed it?
So good, so good.
All right, we'll come back to you in a second. Let's talk with Braden. Braden, you had the final run of the day in men's mogul, so you know what you had to accomplish. I asked you at the end of the run here when we were chatting, did you think you had it? Did you think you had it at the end?
I honestly don't know. I knew I laid down one of my best runs of the day, and I was super happy with it, but everyone else is going real fast and laying down real good runs. I wasn't really sure, but it ended up in my favor today, which I'm super stoked on.
What's going through your mind when you're the 8th of 8 competitors? You see everybody else go. Do the nerves build throughout the experience?
I try not to let the nerves get to me. I just bumped some Taylor Swift in my headphones, so that calms me down a little bit, and then it's got to relax, take some deep, big breaths, and you know, that's all you can really do.
All right, there's some Taylor Swift in the headphones. What about you? How do you stay calm there at the top?
A lot of deep breathing, just visualizing, and honestly, I don't get too nervous. I know that I have it, I know that I can do it, so I just go and do it.
All right, well, congratulations to both of you, Braden and Mackenzie. Excellent runs here today, and that's going to do it with our gold medalists in ladies and men's moguls.
Braden likes Taylor Swift. How about some Brett Kissel for you? We run back his stunning performance at the opening ceremony. Live look at the Centrium right now in Red Deer, Alberta. Brett Kissel brought down the house during the opening ceremonies. If you missed it, here's an encore.
Chairs, everybody, get up out of your chairs. Come on. Let's show the rest of Canada that the party is here in Alberta. Here we go. to the rhythm of your heartbeat and lose myself tonight. Baby, bring me to my feet the minute you walk by with your red lips, white teeth, shaking them hips and skinny blue jeans. I can't help but hum along. Your freedom gets me high, and we can dance like no one else is watching. Take my hand and put it on your heart. Say out loud, 'cause no one gets me rocking like you. You're my anthem. You're my anthem. You're my anthem. Hey, I wanna see those fireworks lighting up your eyes. I wanna know your melody and get it memorized. You're my chorus, you're my voice. Pledge allegiance every word. Now turn it up and turn me on now, baby, don't be shy. And we can dance like no one else is watching. Take my hand and put it on your heart. Say out loud, 'cause no one gets me rocking like you. You're my anthem, you. You're my anthem, you. Girl, you're my anthem. I just wanna sing you all night long. Take me till the early light of dawn. Get 'em up. I just wanna sing you all night long. Yeah. Take me till the early light of dawn. And we can dance like no one else is watching. Take my hand and put it on your heart. Sing out loud, 'cause no one gets me rocking like you. As loud as you can, Canada! You're my anthem, you. You're my anthem, you. Girl, you're my anthem. You're my anthem. Girl, you're my anthem. No one else is watching. Take my hand and put it on your heart. Sing out loud, 'cause no one gets me rocking like you. You're my anthem. Thank you very much, Red Deer. My name is Brett Kissel, a very proud Albertan. So proud to be here tonight. You guys are all chasing gold. Here's my gold song right now. We were the wild and the free and the wind. We were the backseat leaning in. We were the running wide open in the headlights. Hearts on fire in the midnight. We were the slow and the dance in the dust. Jack and Diane with the radio up. Living the line about loving and learning to fall and to fly. That summertime thing. We were the song on the radio playing. We were the words the singer was singing. Yeah, we were the oh, we were the hey. We made you wanna sing along. Yeah, we were that song. And it is so good to be back in Red Deer, baby. We were the good and the bad and the rain. We were the lonesome like a train. We were the let go, we were the heartbroken. We didn't know that it would end this way. We were the almost, yeah, but not quite. We were the steel guitars to cry the line about a loving and leaving and lonely. And there might have been, there might have been. We were the song on the radio playing. We were the words the singer was singing. Yeah, we were the oh, we were the hey. We made you wanna sing along. Yeah, we were that song. Here we go. And it goes oh. And it goes oh. I want to hear everybody scream. We were the hurted and I had to call. We were the feeling that you can't shake off. That I was a fool and you were the one. How did I ever let you get so gone? We were the song on the radio playing. We were the words the singer was singing. Yeah, we were the oh, we were the hey. We made you wanna sing along. Yeah, that song. And it goes, and it goes, we were the song on the radio playing. We were the words the singer was singing. Yeah, we were the oh, we were the hey that made you wanna sing along. Yeah, we were that song. We were that song. And it goes, oh, yeah.
And the closing ceremony right here on TSN2 coming your way Saturday, March 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Congratulations, Felicity Castile Red Deer on an amazing Canada game.
Canada's #1 trade deadline show comes your way Monday, February 25th. James Duthie, Bob McKenzie, Darren Dreger, and Pierre Lebrun all bring you comprehensive coverage of every story in trade from every angle and platform. Tune in all day. Coverage of Trade Center beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific across the TSN network.
The Red Deer 2019 Canada Winter Games are presented by Melcor, building the communities where people live, work, shop, and play since 1923. By Columbia, we love keeping you warm. By Sandtech, architects, engineers, scientists, and project managers who design with community in mind. By the Canadian Olympic Foundation, a proud national partner of the Canada Games. Supporting our athletes today builds the champions of tomorrow. And by Tech, Canada's largest diversified resource company and the exclusive metal supplier for the Canada Games.
And the Canada Winter Games continues tomorrow with wheelchair basketball as Quebec takes on Saskatchewan and Ontario faces BC. Coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on TSN3. And to get you all set for tomorrow's action, let's go to Paul Hollingsworth and Tim Frick.
Thank you. We're joined by Tim Frick. He's part of our broadcast team for wheelchair basketball here on TSN's coverage of the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Tim, looking at the competition, the wheelchair basketball competition at these games, how competitive are these teams? How exciting is this action for the people to witness going forward?
Well, it's going to be really exciting. The top 6 teams, there's going to be a real dogfight for those precious 2 semifinal positions. We got Team Alberta, who won the Junior Nationals last year, who are favored coming in, but we've also got Team Quebec, 4 gold medals in a row, the last 4 Canada Winter Games. We got BC, who are up and coming. We got Saskatchewan, who've been knocking on the door. We got New Brunswick, who've surprised us here by beating Saskatchewan today. So it's going to be a great tournament.
One of the best parts of the Canada Games is we, through the prism of television, get to shine a bright light on some sports that some people at home watching on TV, quite frankly, don't get to see every day. So for the people watching wheelchair basketball for the first time, when it comes to the action, the pace, the fan engagement, what will they see? What can they promise to be shown for the broadcast on Tuesday?
Well, they're going to see some really strong, powerful athletes that can really move their chairs. They can tilt. They can shoot the three-point shot. You're going to see kind of like some swooping movements. In the stand-up game, you know, there's a lot of cutting, but in wheelchair ball, it's kind of swooping movements, so it's got some grace to it as well. So it's power and grace.
Well, we're excited to have you as part of our broadcast team. For a moment, if we will, a bit about you. You're in the Wheelchair Basketball Hall of Fame, Canada Sports Hall of Fame. You spent more than 3 decades involved in the sport of wheelchair basketball. You coached Terry Fox, you coached Rick Hansen. We could go on and on. As you look back over your decades of contribution to this sport, you must be pretty proud of the contribution you've made, obviously.
Well, I'm really proud, but you know, to me, it's all being fun for me. I'm the one that's getting all the benefit. You know, it's a real joy to see athletes and coaches that you've worked with over the years rise up and perform well and reach their potential. So it's been been a great ride, and you know, it hasn't stopped yet.
Well, we're lucky and we're proud to have you as part of the broadcast team. Tim Frick, he is joining our broadcast crew for TSN's coverage of wheelchair basketball here for TSN's 2019 coverage of the Canada Games in Red Deer. Wheelchair basketball front and center on Tuesday.
All right, we're through now 3 days of competition, and Quebec still has a strong hold of the lead when it comes to their medal count. 19 in total, including 5 gold, 7 bronze, and 7 silver, while Alberta just a couple of medals off, 5 golds and 5 silvers. Well, we hope you enjoyed our Moguls finals action. Again, 3,600 athletes, coaches, and managers all gathered in Red Deer, Alberta to make their mark and become the nation's athletes of the future. We hope to see you tomorrow for a double-header wheelchair basketball. BC taking on Ontario, and after that, Quebec facing Saskatchewan. We'll see you then.